Hello and welcome. This is a video to prepare for Lisa Eldridge's next release. She's releasing new shades of her Velvet lipstick. She's bringing all the previous shades back into stock. She's bringing out lip liners to match every single one of her Velvets apparently, and she's bringing out 3 new shades of her glosses. And we've also found out that she's going to be bringing out a foundation. I don't know if that's coming at the exact same time as the new lips or at a different time, but I do know that we'll be able to at least get samples of the foundation at the time of ordering the new lipsticks. So Friday, October 15th at 4 o'clock UK time is when the new launch is happening with all these new lipsticks and the foundation samples at least. So in this video, I'm just going to be going over everything we know about the upcoming launch, what's coming from Lisa, and I'm going to do a bunch of lip swatches for a lot of her glosses and a lot of her lipsticks. I've had some requests from viewers on specific shades, and I wanted to also share some of my favorites. So if you'd like to see all of that, just keep on watching. I think I'm going to get right into the lip swatching, and then after that, we'll just talk a little bit about what we know so far about this upcoming launch. So I'm going to start with the glosses, and the first gloss I'm going to show you is Songbird. So that's just one layer of the Songbird gloss, just one dip into the tube. I'm going to do another dip and see what it looks like built up a little bit. So there's 2 layers of the Songbird gloss. This is one of my favorites. It's a perfect everyday kind of pinkish, brownish nude color. I really love that one. Next up is the Muse gloss. There's 1 layer of the Muse gloss, and there's 2 layers of the Muse gloss. Perfect shade for fall. It's just a little bit deeper than Songbird. It's one of those really great My Lips But Better types of colors. Next up is the Charm gloss. Now this is not really a fall color. It's much more of a spring color. It's a really beautiful kind of bubblegummy pink, but it's not too bright and Barbie-ish. It's a really flattering kind of light, youthful pink color. There's 1 layer of the Charm gloss, and there's 2 layers of the Charm gloss. This is kind of an underrated color. I don't see a lot of people talking about this one, but I really love it. I think it's a great option. Next up is the Beauty gloss. 1 layer of Beauty gloss. And there's 2 layers of the Beauty gloss. There were 3 gloss shades from her original launch of the glosses last fall that I hadn't bought, so I've since picked them up, and I wanted to make sure to include those on this video. So it's Beauty, Myth, and Ribbon, those glosses I hadn't had previously, so those, you wouldn't find those anywhere on my channel. All the other lip products from Lisa I've shown in previous videos on my channel, but those 3 glosses I haven't, so I just wanted to make sure to include them here. Next up is the Blush gloss, and this is one of my absolute favorite gloss shades from Lisa. There's 1 layer of the Blush gloss. Here it is built up to 2 layers. I just think it's a really flattering, beautiful color. Again, it's one of those kind of My Lips But Better colors, but it's deeper, and I think it really brings a lot of life to the face. All right, just 2 glosses left, and then I'll get into the lipstick. So this is the Myth gloss. So this is one that I have not tried yet either. There's 1 layer of the Myth gloss. Here it is built up in 2 layers. What a color. I can really see the strong purple undertones in this gloss. It's almost like a really rich grape color. It's beautiful. And Velvet Myth is one of my absolute favorites of her Velvet lipstick, so I'm going to be lip swatching that today too. But here is the gloss version. All right, and last but not least for the glosses, I'm going to show you the Ribbon gloss. There's 1 layer of the Ribbon gloss, and there's 2 layers of Ribbon gloss. Perfect for the holiday season. Almost reminds me of a candy apple too, so it kind of works for the Halloween season too. All right, so those were all the glosses that I had either had requests for or that I wanted to include because they're my favorites. And now it's time to move into the lipsticks. So I think I'm just going to show one of the Luxuriously Lucent lipsticks. Spring is usually the season for her Lucent lipsticks, and fall is when she brings out new shades and restocks for Velvet lipsticks, but I know that most of the Luxuriously Lucent shades are still in stock. I think all of them except for Atomic Cherry. At least on the version of the website that I've been looking at, all of the Lucent lipsticks are in stock except for Atomic Cherry. And I've had a few requests to show Painterly, so I'm going to show you Painterly, and it is a great color for fall, so this might be one that you want to pick up during this launch as well. So there's one layer of Painterly. I did one swipe on the top lip, one swipe on the lower lip, and then Built Up. There's Painterly Built Up. This is a stunning color. I've mentioned before, it really reminds me of the blush gloss. I think it has a very similar effect to that. This one I think has just a touch more earthiness and brown in it, but it's still a super flattering color. Perfect for fall, and I think especially like if you're not a really big fan of matte lipsticks, even though Lisa's are very comfortable, but if you just don't like matte lipsticks and you prefer something more satiny and with a bit of sheerness to it, you would really love this formula and you would love this color for the season. All right, now for one of my absolute favorites of the velvets. This is Velvet Fawn. So there's one layer of Velvet Fawn. The velvets are quite opaque, so I'm going to try to shear this down a little bit and blot it off a little bit so you can see what a sheerer layer of this would be like. So there's a much more sheared out version. It's almost just like a stain now of Velvet Fawn. And then I'm going to build it up to full opacity. There's Velvet Fawn built all the way up. You can see on me at least it pulls out the cool tones a lot more in this shade when it's built up to its full opacity. When it's more sheer, a little bit more of my lip color shows through, so it has a little bit more pink and warmth in it. All right, next up, another favorite and one that I think was very popular last year. This is Velvet Affair. This and I think Velvet Dragon were the first to sell out of the 4 new shades that came out last year, so I thought I'd better show it because it seems like a lot of people are really interested in this shade, and with good reason. So there's a very, very thin layer. I just kind of patted it on really lightly. That's Velvet Affair. And then I'm going to build it up to its full opacity. There's Velvet Affair Built Up. So it's quite similar to Fawn, I think, in a lot of the undertones that are going on, but this one is obviously deeper, and I think it has a little bit more warmth than Fawn does. It's kind of a really beautiful kind of toasted caramel toffee kind of shade. Another one that's really perfect for fall. Next up is Velvet Blush, another one of the ones that came out last fall. Okay, I forgot to apply this as a stain, so I'm going to show it at full opacity first. There's Velvet Blush at its full saturation. And then here it is more as a stain. I blotted off pretty much all of the color, and this is kind of just the very, very thin layer of pigment that's left on the lips. That's Velvet Blush. Next up is Velvet Jazz, one of the original 3 red velvets that Lisa brought out. So here it is more toned down. That's just as a really light kind of stain layer. There's Velvet Jazz at its full opacity. This one I think is a really flattering and easy to wear red. Even though it's pretty deep and vampy, it has a lot of impact. There's something about the tones that just makes it really still wearable in a way. And with these deeper colors, I'm really starting to see the staining on my lips, so I'm just using a little bit of concealer to help me out. The next shade is Velvet Dragon, very popular shade and one of my favorites. This is a perfect kind of burnt orange color. So here's Velvet Dragon at its full opacity. And here it is really blotted down as a very light layer and a stain. If you're newer to my channel, you might not know I have a series of Lisa Eldridge lipstick based looks. So that's where I take one of her lipsticks and I base a whole makeup look around the idea and the shade of that lipstick. So Velvet Dragon was actually my first lipstick based look that I ever did. I'll link my Lisa Eldridge lips playlist for you in the description box. So that's going to include all of my lipstick based look videos that I've done, as well as all my videos on the Lisa Eldridge product. So it's going to have lip swatches of all the shades. So even if I haven't lip swatched certain shades in here that you wanted to see, if you go through that playlist, you'll be able to find all of the lipstick shades swatched. All right, and the last velvet that I wanted to lip swatch for you is Velvet Myth. I think I had a couple of requests to swatch this one, and it's also one of my favorites, so I'm really excited to show you. Okay, so there's Velvet Myth as a very light stain, and here's Velvet Myth built up to its full potential. It's another one like Velvet Jazz that I think is really flattering, even though it's quite an impactful, you know, dark and vampy color. It's one of those that's a little bit easier to wear and I think really flattering on a lot of people. Okay, now I also had a question about the liners. I have only one of her lip liners right now. I have the Muse liner. So I'm gonna apply this and then I'm just gonna talk a little bit about how I like to use this liner. So here's what the Muse liner looks like all over my lips. So I personally don't really like to combine the liner with the glosses. I don't like the feeling of it on my lips. Lisa's glosses are a very thick gloss. I'd say probably some of the thickest among my collection. And this is a long wear lip liner. So that's great for some purposes and I'll tell you how I like to use it. But I find that the liner combined with the gloss, it's just a little bit too thick of a feeling on my lips and it's just not that comfortable for me. The way I do like to use these liners is to just line the outer edges of my lips and maybe add a little bit of shading into the sort of bottom corners there. And this is really great for overlining because it is so long wear and it's such a concentrated pigment in there. It's really going to be perfect for overlining because it's going to stay where you draw it and it's thick enough that it really looks like it's really your lip line because the pigment is so strong. It's not going to fade or kind of sheer away at all. So that's what I love it for most, is just kind of overlining and also using it in that way as a guide for another lipstick. So I really like it when I'm using a darker lipstick, so something like Velvet Myth or Velvet Midnight. Using this as a liner is really, really helpful because it helps me to get the shape that I need and it has enough opacity that it's going to have a strong lip line. So I am really excited for all the new shades of the liners to come out. I'm not going to get all of them, but I have a list of several of them that I want to get. I definitely want the Fawn liner. I think that'll be really useful for every day. I also am really interested in getting the Myth liner because Myth is one of my favorite lipsticks, so I want the matching liner. I want the Dragon liner as well because I think that tone is really perfect for mixing in with other lipsticks to warm them up a little bit, and also because I love Velvet Dragon so much, I want to pair those together. I am also really interested in a Decade liner. Velvet Decade is kind of a chocolatey brown color, and that's a liner color that is going to be really useful, I think. And then of course we'll have to see what the new shades of the Velvets are, and I'll decide once I see those shades, you know, which of those liners that I want to pick up as well. So let's get into a little bit of what we know so far about this launch. So I mentioned the new shades of lips are launching on the 15th of October. And I'm just going to read a little bit from Lisa's newsletter that she sent out on Friday, I think it was. So she said all her True Velvet lipsticks will be restocked, and she'll also be releasing some brand new instantly iconic and covetable shades. I believe that. We don't know how many new shades of the Velvets there are going to be. I would guess 4. That's just my guess because that's how many she came out with last year, but we'll have to wait and see. She's doing a reveal video on Wednesday on her YouTube channel, so that's where she's going to show us all the new shades and we'll have a lot more information about this collection then. She's also said that as requested by her viewers and customers, they're going to be matching and separately available Enhance and Define lip liners for every True Velvet lipstick shade. Very exciting. And there are going to be 3 new shades of the Gloss Embrace lip gloss. And she's also going to be restocking all the shades of the gloss. The other thing to note about this launch is that unlike all of her previous launches, this isn't a pre-order. So this is just you order, the ordering opens on Friday, and then she's going to start shipping them on the following Monday. So I guess they'll have the weekend to prepare if they're working over the weekend, and then she's going to start shipping everything out right away on Monday. So that's exciting, and it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. And then the last little bit in her newsletter said that from the 15th of October, so from this launch, you can add sample cards of something new and epic into your shopping basket. And she says take a look on her social media. So if you have been following Lisa on Instagram, you'll know now that she has a foundation coming out. So it's her Seamless Skin Foundation. Very exciting. So from this newsletter, to me, it's unclear whether you're going to actually be able to buy the foundation on the 15th or if you're just going to be able to get samples and the official launch of the foundation is going to be later. Not really clear to me, but she's said on Instagram that there's going to be a lot more information coming soon. So hopefully before too long, we'll know a lot more about the foundation, but I'm going to tell you what we know so far. So reading now from her Instagram post where she fully revealed that it is a foundation coming and told us about the formula and the shade range. So she says, the foundation, intelligently formulated skin-friendly foundation with a customizable medium coverage that can be dialed up or down. Self-setting, it blends effortlessly to smooth and unify skin with a noticeably soft focus effect. The formula contains a natural mesh-like ingredient which completely fuses with skin after blending. The final finish is neither dewy or flat matte, but something skin-like that's in between. No alcohol, talc, fragrance, perfume, essential oils, or SPF. And she's going to be sending another newsletter very soon, apparently, where she's going to tell us more about this foundation, and it's going to be in 40 shades. So that's a huge shade range, especially for an independent brand like Lisa Eldridge. That's really amazing. And the formulation of the foundation sounds right up my alley. It sounds perfect medium coverage that you can sheer out or build up. It has a natural finish, not too dewy, not too matte. That sounds perfect. She's mentioned this mesh-like component to it. So I wonder if that's the same Film Excel product that's in her Elevated Glow highlighter, or there was another component that was in her blushes that had a similar sort of description. So I don't know if it's the exact same compound that's being used there, but it's supposed to have a similar effect, I guess. And it's going to provide a beautiful soft focus finish. So this all sounds perfect to me. I'm so excited to see all the shades and see the foundation in action, and of course to try it. Really excited about that. And I'll make sure to update you in the description box as more news comes in, both about the lips and the foundation launch, because I think this week we're going to be getting a lot more information about everything that's coming from Lisa. From the photo that was included in her newsletter about the lipsticks, you can see two of the shades. She has the lighter skin tone model in this picture has a really beautiful kind of red, like a mid-tone kind of earthy red lipstick that looks really beautiful. It reminds me a lot of the Spirited Away lipstick. It almost looks like a velvet version of that. So that looks really beautiful and wearable, and I think that's a color that's definitely going to suit so many people. And then the darker skin tone model in this photo has a lighter lip color, and it looks really beautiful as well. It looks kind of like around the range of fawn in terms of the depth of color, but maybe a little bit pinker. Maybe this is a Velvet Songbird or something like that. That would be amazing. Absolute dream come true. If she had a really beautiful kind of light pinky nude velvet, that would be perfection. In terms of my hopes and dreams for what else might be included, I don't know if this is ever going to happen, but I would love to see Lisa come out with a black velvet, like just a true, really rich black velvet lipstick would be perfect. And in her formula, you can't get any better than that. So I'd really love to see that. I don't know if we'll ever see that from her, but that's a hope and dream of mine. And I would also really love to see, like I mentioned, a light pinky, kind of maybe pinky peachy nude in the family of Songbird or around that range. I'd also love to see a velvet matte that is basically the same color as Kitten Mischief. Kitten Mischief is my perfect everyday lipstick color. I've almost used up a whole tube of it since it came out in the spring, and I would really love to see that type of a color in velvet matte as well. It would be neat if she brought out a clear gloss or like a clear with some gold shimmer in it. That would be fun too. but we really don't know what to expect. But I know that it's going to be exciting, and I know that a lot of people are really anticipating this launch, myself included. Lisa has also mentioned in the past, I think in comments on some of her YouTube videos and maybe on Instagram, that she is planning on bringing out a lighter shade of her Elevated Glow highlighter. So I haven't heard anything about that recently, so I don't necessarily expect that to be coming during this launch, but that's just something else to keep an eye out for. A lighter and I think perhaps a bit cooler toned shade of her Elevated Glow. Now I just want to show a few comparison swatches for some of the lipsticks that were requested. If you have any other requests for comparison swatches, let me know and I'll try to post them on my community board. But for now, I just have a couple that I want to show you. All right, so here is Velvet Blush, Velvet Myth, and Velvet Jazz. So these are all kind of in the same range of depth, but different tones to them. Velvet Blush, I think, is more cool toned than these other two and a little bit more kind of earthy colored. Velvet Myth is a very vibrant color and you can really see that berry tone in it. And then Velvet Jazz is, again, it's a little bit more earthy than Myth. Not quite as earthy and cool toned as Blush is, but you can see the differences there, and hopefully that helps if you're trying to decide from among these shades. So again, Velvet Jazz, Velvet Myth, Velvet Blush. And then here I just wanted to show you Velvet Fawn as compared to Velvet Affair. As I mentioned earlier, they're quite similar in their undertones, but Fawn is just lighter and a little bit cooler, I think, and Affair is a little bit deeper and a little bit warmer. So Velvet Fawn, Velvet Affair. I also had a question about some tips for like makeup looks with each of these lipstick colors. It's too much for me to get into like each of these colors and what kind of look I would recommend. As I mentioned, I have my lipstick based looks video, so some of the shades you'll be able to see how I would create a look based around that shade. But just for general tips, I think when in doubt, use the lipstick as a blush. I think all of her Velvet lipsticks are really workable as blushes. They wear really well and they blend out quite seamlessly. And you know that you can't go wrong if you're using the same color for blush and lipstick. You know that you're going to have a cohesive look when you're doing that. Another tip is to even bring a little bit of that lipstick color up kind of around the eye crease and the brow bone. Again, that's just going to create a more seamless and kind of overall cohesive effect if you're using the lipstick in multiple areas of your face. And then I guess another tip that I would say is try to find kind of a signature eye look for yourself, or an eyeshadow color that you know kind of works with everything. There's obviously, like, you can use neutral browns and beiges and taupes and things like that are pretty much going to work with everything. But you might also want to think about what's a color that really works for your eyes, and that although it's technically a color, it works as a neutral for you. So for me, green is that color, more specifically kind of like an olive green or a warmer type of green. I know that that color looks good on my eyes, and I know that it actually is going to go with pretty much any lip color that I want to wear. So from really bright, cool tones to really warm tones to lighter nudes to deeper colors, I know that a kind of warm olivey green is going to work with everything. So maybe that's going to be your color too, but I think different people will have different colors that actually work as neutrals for them and really complement every lip color. And I find that using color in that way can also really help to just enhance a look and bring it more to life than if you were just going with a really neutral brown or taupe on the eyes. So those are my general tips, and that's all the information I have for you at this point about the upcoming Lisa Eldridge launch. I hope this video is helpful and enjoyable for you. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. If you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd really love for you to do so. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.